Hey, what's up, guys? Today we are going to do an off-white custom for the all leather van here. This is a size 13, pretty large shoe, but let's get on into it and start this custom. So now I'm going to use my acetone, and I am going to use an old t-shirt because I don't like the way that cotton balls or paper towels leave that fuzz after you use it. Not a big fan of that, but here we go. We're going to tape off the stripe here. I do like to split this tape in half because get double what you pay for, because this tape that I'm using is a automotive tape, so it is pretty pricey. It's about $8-9 a roll, which if you do a lot of shoes like I do, it eventually catches up with you. But now what we're going to do is make sure that we tape off this entire stripe. Try to get the tape under the stripe so then it doesn't leak out onto any of the other parts of the shoe that we want the tape to, or that we want the paint to go to. But we're going to use our flat black here. Give it a good old shake. Make sure we mix that up nice and well. And now what I like to do is I like just to pour my paint here into the cap, because I don't like using dishes or any of those little paint holders, because that's just extra stuff I have to clean, and I already have a lot of stuff as it is to clean. But we're just going to use a small angler brush and use nice and thin coats to start off with. Then after we fully cover the stripe here with a nice thin coat, we're going to use our heat gun, and then we're just going to apply the paint. A couple more coats. I think I did about, I don't know, about 4 to 6 coats for this stripe. But here we go. We're going to take our tape off now and see how well of a job that I did taping, which, as you can see, that I'm already kind of worried that I didn't tape up there on the right side of the stripe. But that was a pretty easy cleanup. Just take a little Q-tip with some acetone and just pull that paint right up. But now we're going to take our van stencil here, which will go on the sole back towards the heel. And I do like to take my time when using stencils or anything, especially something on the heel, because I want to make sure that it's properly equal and even. But I also do like to use this heat gun on stencils before I paint and press real hard, especially on the sole, so then I make sure that that stencil's sticking on there nice and well, and that no paint's going to leak through the sides of the stencil and screw up the leather. Alright, now we're going to take our tape off. Use our paper towels and this really cheap tape that I had. But I'm going to use my flat black here, and I'm going to use this too thin so it goes through the airbrush real easy, so don't clog it up. Now I'm not for sure, it might be a 1:3 ratio of 1 part too thin, 2 parts your paint, but I like to just look at the consistency of it. Not so much like water, but a little thicker than that. But again, light coats, always light coats when you're first one, especially through an airbrush. And then I do use my hand a lot here, just so then I make sure it doesn't get there onto the bottom of the shoe. But got that part done. Now we're just going to take the tape off and the stencil off. And I did kind of pull up my stencil a little too early. I should have waited for it to dry a little more. But now I'm just taking a little paintbrush and just touching up some of the lines. But now I did skip ahead. Sorry, I thought that my camera was filming when I laid the stencil, but it ended up shutting off because my card was too filled. So I had to get a new card. But I mean, it's pretty much just sticking that stencil on there, making sure that you acetone. But now we're just going to tape the stencil off just like the other one. And take the paper towel, use this cheap tape. Now that I think about it too, I probably should have cut that green tape in half, just because it is pretty expensive for a roll and it adds up, but oh well. Alright, thin coats once again. My airbrush does like to clog up a lot. I've taken it apart and cleaned it several times, but I mean, it's a pretty cheap airbrush. Got it at Harbor Freight for like $70 for the air compressor and the airbrush, but it does the job. Now, especially remove this stencil real slow. I mean, it has a lot of letters. Don't want to screw any of those letters up, but looked pretty good when that turned out. And now we're going to peel up this stencil for the heel part of the shoe. And just to let you know, I do acetone. I just didn't film, but anywhere that you want to paint, always acetone. Just helps that paint adhere better to the shoe and last longer. But we got that stencil on there. Now we're going to tape it up. Get some paper towels and start airbrushing on it. Alrighty. So that stencil is done now. That's how it turned out. Should be all pitch black. That's about how I know that when I have done enough coats, is that the black matches the stencil. And it should be roughly around, I think, roughly around 4 to 6 coats on something like this. But there's that. Turned out perfect. Now we're going to put this off stencil on the toe. Again, I just didn't film the acetone part, but make sure you acetone anywhere that you want to paint. Tape this off. Use the paper towels. And right here you can definitely see that I'm using thin coats. And then about 4 to 6 coats on this one too. But we finished with that one. Now I definitely show you here on this stencil though that be very careful whenever you're peeling them off. Just because that paint can lift off with the stencil and then just ruin what you just did there. But right here is pretty much the end of the shoe. But I like to use a finisher coat on it, some Krylon matte finish. And just use thin coats. Usually you want to be in a well ventilated area for video's sake, I did it right here, but I usually like to take it outside. But some thin coats around it. And now I do apologize that I didn't do the lace up or the zip tie of the shoe, but that's pretty self-explanatory. But if you guys like this custom, make sure you like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.